Welcome to Vibrations and Manifestations.
For everyone listening, I'm Jared.
And I'm Alicia.
I want you to start by picturing um, a very specific physical scenario today.
Oh, I like starting with a visual.
Yeah, it really grounds things.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to imagine you've just walked through the front door of your home,
Mm-hmm.
and it's after an incredibly demanding day. Like you've been sitting in terrible traffic.
Ugh, the worst.
Right. You've been managing the friction of a really difficult workplace.
Yeah.
You're answering relentless emails. You've made like 100 micro decisions since breakfast.
Just buzzing with that background radiation of modern stress.
Exactly. Humming with it.
Mm.
So you put your keys down and you walk into a room and sit down next to someone.
Okay.
Maybe it's your partner or, a lifelong friend or a mentor.
Someone you know really well.
Right. And without a single word being spoken, your body does something kind of remarkable.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this.
The tension that you didn't even realize you were holding in your jaw, it just dissolves.
Yes.
Your shoulders,
Mm.
which have been like subtly creeping up toward your ears since 8 a.m.
Just permanently lodged up there.
Yeah, they just drop a full 2 inches. And your breath finally bypasses that shallow panic in your chest.
Mm-hmm. It hits the absolute bottom of your lungs.
Yes. And your mind just completely ceases that exhausting, endless rehearsal of what you need to say next.
You don't have to defend yourself.
Exactly. You suddenly realize you don't need to curate a personality.
Right.
Or manage the energy of the room, or predict how this other person is going to react to your existence.
It's just a profound, total body exhale.
That's it, the exhale. So I want you, the listener, to search your memory right now.
This is a tough question.
It is. When was the last time you truly, physically felt that exhale in another human being's presence?
It's a really sobering exercise, honestly.
It really is.
Because I think for the vast majority of people listening right now, retrieving that memory might take a distressingly long time.
Yeah, like minutes of just staring blankly.
Exactly. Because that feeling of the complete cellular exhale, it's becoming an incredibly rare luxury in modern life.
It really is.
We have reached this point where chronic hypervigilance is just so deeply normalized.
It's just the water we swim in.
Right. Most people don't even realize they are running this constant threat assessment algorithm in the background of their lives.
They mistake that low-grade, persistent tension for just, like, how adult life is supposed to feel.
Yes. They assume that humming undercurrent of anxiety is the baseline human condition.
Like, I pay taxes, therefore my jaw must always be clenched.
Exactly. But biologically, it's not. It's a state of perpetual bracing.
And that bracing literally dictates the quality of our entire lives,
It absolutely does.
which is exactly what we are unpacking in this deep dive
I
today.
am so excited for this one.
Me too. We're looking at a massive amount of insight today, spanning from foundational developmental psychology all the way to the cutting edge of neurobiology.
To really figure out why emotionally safe relationships feel so scarce right now.
Right. So we're going to trace the evolutionary imperative of human connection. We'll start with the post-war observations of John Bowlby,
So fascinating.
plunging deep into the anatomical mechanics of Dr. Stephen Porges's Polyvagal Theory.
The absolute gold standard.
Truly. And then landing on the behavioral paradox of why we actively self-sabotage the exact peace we claim to want.
Oh, that's the one that's going to hit home for a lot of people.
Oh, it hit me right between the eyes.
Yeah.
So the core thesis we are exploring today challenges almost everything modern culture teaches us about relationships.
Because culture tells us it's all about communication and words.
Right. But your nervous system literally dictates your relationship quality before you even open your mouth to speak.
Before a single syllable is uttered.
So we are going to map exactly how your body decides who is safe, why we unconsciously choose chaos over calm,
Mm-hmm.
and the precise mechanical steps required to rewire your biology so you can actually become a safe harbor in a dysregulated world.
I love that. Becoming a safe harbor. But to map that architecture properly, we have to start by tearing down a massive societal
I
misconception.
really do.
Because before we look at the neurobiology of safety, we need to correctly define what emotional safety actually is.
Because we get it so wrong.
So wrong. Modern culture has dangerously conflated safety with politeness.
Oh, wow. Yes.
We operate under this assumption that a lack of visible friction equals safety.
That is such a pervasive trap. I mean, I've been in relationships where I thought, well, nobody is raising their voice.
Right. We never yell.
We never argue. We split the bills evenly, we say please and thank you, so obviously we are in a secure, emotionally safe relationship.
Right. Or you work in an office where everyone uses, like, corporate-approved language.
Let's circle back on that.
Exactly. And everyone smiles in the hallway, and you assume it's a safe environment.
But it's just a veneer.
Because polite environments are frequently the most terrifying to the nervous system.
That is so true. The silent treatment is very polite.
Oh, it's brutally polite. Emotional safety is fundamentally not the absence of conflict.
Wait, say that again because I think people need to hear that twice.
Emotional safety is not the absence of conflict.
Wow.
A relationship can be perfectly polite, it can successfully avoid all arguments, and it can still be profoundly unsafe.
Just brimming with quiet resentment.
And passive aggression. True emotional safety is the felt, biological sense that a connection has the structural integrity to hold difficult truths.
I love that phrase, structural integrity.
Right. It can hold conflict, it can hold failure, and it can hold your imperfection without the dynamic immediately becoming dangerous.
Without it threatening your core value to that person.
Exactly. It's the resilience of the bond, not the illusion of a friction-free existence.
Okay, so the insights we are examining break this true safety down into 3 essential pillars.
Let's go through them.
The first one is predictability. But we have to be very careful to clarify that predictability does not mean rigidity.
Or boredom.
Right. It's not about being boring. It means consistency of character.
Yes. Because the cognitive load of unpredictability is staggering.
It drains you.
Your nervous system shouldn't have to constantly burn energy solving the mystery of which version of a person is walking into the room.
I used to have a boss exactly like this.
We all have.
Like wonderfully warm, generous, and supportive on a Monday. But for reasons I could never figure out, he would just become icy, critical, and withholding on a Tuesday.
And you just have no idea what dictates that shift.
None.
Yeah.
The weather system of his mood was entirely arbitrary.
And when that happens, your body is forced to remain braced for impact at all times.
You're just waiting for the drop.
Exactly. Predictability means there is a reliable baseline. Even if they are having a bad day, you know the parameters of their bad day won't involve sudden cruelty.
Or sudden abandonment. You shouldn't have to be a behavioral meteorologist in your own home.
A behavioral meteorologist, that is perfect.
Right. Constantly checking the atmospheric pressure before you decide if it's safe to ask a question.
Is it safe to ask what's for dinner? Let me check the barometer.
Literally. And that brings us to the second pillar, which I would argue is the absolute most important. Repair.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Because if safety isn't the absence of conflict, then rupture is inevitable.
It's guaranteed.
We are human animals. We miss each other's cues.
Got depleted.
We snap at each other. We misinterpret a text message.
All the time.
Safety isn't built by pretending the rupture didn't happen. It is built on the undeniable evidence that the relationship can return from it.
Repair is the actual mechanism of secure attachment.
Tell me more about that.
Well, it's the real-time proof that both parties possess the capacity to look at the mess on the floor, name what happened without deflecting blame, and take responsibility.
Instead of just saying, well, you made me do it.
Right. It demonstrates that the connection itself is more valuable than the ego's need to be right.
That is so hard in the moment, though.
It's incredibly hard. But a relationship that never experiences conflict isn't automatically safe. It might just be deeply avoidant.
Wow. Yeah, just 2 people avoiding each other in the same house.
Exactly. But a relationship that lacks a mechanism for repair is definitively unsafe.
Because if a rupture occurs and it's met with stonewalling
Or swept under the rug.
or weaponized for later use. Remember 3 years ago when you did this?
Right. If that happens, the nervous system logs that connection as a profound structural threat.
Okay, so we have predictability, we have repair. The third pillar is acceptance without performance.
This one is a relief just to say out loud.
It really is. This is the capacity to just be unfinished.
To be uncertain.
To be entirely honest without the relationship actively punishing you for your humanity.
You don't have to be the curated, high-achieving, perfectly regulated version of yourself just to maintain the connection.
You don't have to sing for your supper.
Because performing is biologically expensive.
I love when you talk about the biological cost of things.
Well, it's true. When you have to constantly perform to maintain a connection, your body knows the love is conditional.
It feels it.
And the nervous system logs that as a highly precarious survival situation.
The subconscious math is basically, if I drop the mask, if my productivity slips, if I show my exhaustion, I lose my anchor.
Exactly. And that conditional state completely prevents the physiological exhale we started this deep dive with.
You can never fully put the armor down.
Never.
But if we look at the landscape of modern life, I have to just pause and look at the paradox we are living in right now.
The digital paradox.
Right. Because theoretically, based on pure volume, shouldn't we be feeling more secure and accepted than any generation in human history?
We have unprecedented access to each other.
Exactly. We are hyper-connected. Texting, group chats, FaceTime, social media. I could reach almost anyone I have ever known in like 3 seconds.
Right.
Yet the exact opposite is happening. We are experiencing an epidemic of loneliness and dysregulation.
It's staggering.
I tend to think of digital communication as trying to read a deeply complex, nuanced novel in a pitch-black room.
Ooh, that's a good analogy.
You technically have the material in your hands. You know the words are printed on the page. But you can't see the punctuation, the italics, or the paragraph breaks. You are just blindly running your fingers over the paper trying to guess the tone.
It is a devastatingly accurate analogy. And the neurobiology confirms exactly why that darkness feels so threatening.
Break that down for us.
So, digital communication systematically strips away the exact biological data packets our bodies have evolved over millions of years to rely on for co-regulation.
Billions of years.
Right. When two humans interact in physical space, our nervous systems are rapidly exchanging a massive volume of information far below the level of conscious thought.
Like what kind of information?
We are tracking microexpressions around the eyes. We are measuring the warmth, the cadence, and the melodic tone of the voice.
Oh, vocal tone is huge for me.
Right. We are synchronizing with the pacing of the other person's respiration.
They're breathing.
Yes. We are assessing posture, pupil dilation, the subtle shifting of weight.
And a text message has literally none of that.
Text messages, emails, and even slightly lagged video calls completely flatten or distort this data.
So we are exchanging an enormous volume of information, but we are exchanging almost zero co-regulation.
Precisely.
I mean, think about getting a text from your partner that just says, "We need to talk."
Immediate panic.
Total panic. My body is receiving the text, but it is completely starved of the soothing vocal tone or soft eye contact that might indicate we need to talk about something exciting.
Right, like we need to talk about where we're going for dinner.
Yes. But because I can't hear their voice, my body assumes the worst.
Because the absence of that data is not neutral to the nervous system. The absence of data is interpreted as potential danger.
Silent is danger.
Exactly. And when you combine that severe lack of biological cueing with our modern culture of chronic urgency.
Oh, the urgency.
The fact that we always have 14 browser tabs open.
At minimum.
Constant push notifications vibrating against our skin. Endless micro-decisions. We end up dragging a highly activated fight-or-flight physiology into almost every social interaction.
We are biologically starved for the cues of connection, while simultaneously being overwhelmed by the noise of the digital environment.
It's the perfect storm for dysregulation.
So, to truly grasp why the absence of those specific cues, the voice, the breath, the eyes, is so devastating to our mental and physical health, we have to pull back the lens a bit.
Let's do it.
We have to look at the history of how we discovered that human beings are fundamentally wired for physical, co-regulated presence.
This is one of my favorite historical anchors.
It's so profound. It takes us back to post-World War II Europe and the pioneering work of British psychiatrist John Bowlby.
Bowlby's observations are the bedrock of everything we understand about human connection today.
They really are.
But it is vital to understand the medical context he was operating in during the 1940s.
Right, because it was very different back then.
Very different. At that time, the prevailing medical model was heavily influenced by the relatively recent triumphs over infectious diseases.
Like germ theory.
Exactly. The medical establishment believed that if you provided a sterile environment, sufficient caloric intake, and basic shelter, a human infant would thrive.
Like a plant. Just give it water and sunlight.
Exactly. The human body was largely viewed as a biological machine that just needed the right fuel and protection from pathogens.
So Bowlby is looking at these post-war orphanages and institutions. And according to the medical consensus of the day, these facilities were doing everything right. They were highly sanitary. The infants and toddlers were being fed on strict schedules.
Their physical survival needs were entirely met.
But the reality on the ground was catastrophic.
It was heartbreaking.
The children were not thriving. They were exhibiting a condition sometimes referred to as hospitalism.
Right.
Some children literally stopped developing physically. Some stopped vocalizing entirely. and tragically, some simply faded away and died, despite having no underlying physical illness or infection.
And the establishment was baffled.
Completely confused.
They were like, why would a perfectly healthy fed infant simply shut down?
So what did Bowlby figure out?
Well, Bowlby, along with colleagues like Renee Spitz, began to observe the specific behavioral trajectories of these children. They noticed a pattern.
Yeah.
When a child was first separated from a caregiver, they would protest. Crying, searching, fighting.
Which makes sense.
Right. But if no responsive caregiver appeared, they moved into despair.
Becoming
quiet and withdrawn.
Giving up.
And finally, if the deprivation continued, they entered a state of profound detachment. They stopped seeking connection altogether.
Wow.
Bowlby proposed a radical hypothesis that shattered the mechanical view of human development. He concluded that humans are not merely wired for physical survival.
We are biologically mandated to seek attachment.
Exactly.
He essentially proved that attunement is a basic human need, on par with oxygen and water.
It is not a luxury. A calm, responsive, co-regulating human presence is not an emotional bonus feature of a good childhood.
Right. Well, it's nice to have.
It is a structural, biological requirement. Because when an infant is distressed, they cannot regulate their own heart rate or cortisol levels.
They literally don't have the hardware yet.
Exactly. When a caregiver responds with a soothing, melodic voice, soft facial expressions, and a steady, regulated heartbeat.
The caregiver's nervous system literally acts as an external pacemaker for the infant's nervous system.
Yes. The caregiver's physiology organizes the infant's physiology.
That is incredible.
Bowlby proved that without the felt sense of safety provided by that attachment, the human organism perceives a lethal threat, and it begins to systematically shut down its own life force to conserve energy.
Now, I can hear the listener thinking, okay, that is a tragic historical reality for infants in the 1940s, but I am a 35-year-old adult. I pay a mortgage. I don't need a caregiver to regulate my heart rate.
I hear that pushback all the time.
But the profound truth of this insight is that we do not outgrow this hardware.
We don't.
We carry that exact same ancient evolutionary programming in our bodies right now. Every single time you walk into a conference room, every time you sit down at a dinner party, every time you hear the specific chime of a text message from your partner, your autonomic nervous system is subconsciously asking the exact same question Bowlby's orphans were asking.
Am I safe here? Am I safe with you?
Am I safe with you? And we have to examine the immense unconscious cost of moving through adult life when the answer to that question is no.
Or even just, I'm not sure.
Right. Ambiguity is almost as bad.
Because when your environment lacks clear cues of safety, your conscious, rational brain might not immediately flag a problem.
You might look around the conference room and think, everyone is behaving professionally. I am in no physical danger.
But your nervous system doesn't care about professionalism.
No, it doesn't.
It cares about biological cues. If those cues are missing or hostile, your physiology goes to work behind the scenes.
What does that look like in the body?
It starts bracing the musculature of your core. You start carefully editing your words before you speak.
Oh, the self-editing.
You slide into over-explaining yourself.
Yes.
You might adopt a fawning, people-pleasing persona to pacify the room. Or you might psychologically withdraw and become highly detached, mirroring that final stage of despair Bowlby observed.
I want you to think about your own life right now as you're listening to this. Think about a dynamic with a family member or a specific coworker or an old friend where nothing overtly catastrophic ever happens.
Right. There are no dramatic screaming matches.
There is no massive definable betrayal. If you tried to explain to a neutral third party why this person completely exhausts you, you might sound unreasonable.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly. Because you have no definitive proof of their toxicity. But you just know deep in your bones that when you are in their presence, you have the constant need to be careful.
The eggshells.
Yes. You are careful with your phrasing. You're careful to modulate your excitement so you don't overwhelm them. You're careful not to be too vulnerable, lest it be used against you later.
And the physiological cost of that chronic carefulness is staggering. It's exhausting. It drains a massive amount of your metabolic, creative, and emotional energy.
Because your body is working overtime.
You don't realize how much of your own vitality you are burning just to remain acceptable and vigilant in that relationship.
Wow.
Because your nervous system is treating that entire social interaction as a persistent, low-grade threat scenario. It is actively diverting biological resources away from rest, digestion, cellular repair.
And pushing those resources toward defensive readiness.
Exactly. You leave a 2-hour coffee date feeling like you just ran a marathon because internally, your nervous system was sprinting the entire time.
Okay, so Bowlby proved that we desperately need this presence to survive and thrive.
Yes.
But for decades, the missing piece of the puzzle was how the body actually measures that presence.
Mechanism.
Right. By what precise physical mechanism does an infant or an adult professional in a boardroom know they are safe? How does the body process these invisible cues?
And that takes us to the anatomical reality of Dr. Stephen Porges and polyvagal theory.
Yes. I remember listening to a deep dive on the Being Well podcast with Dr. Porges, and it just blew my mind.
It's totally paradigm shifting.
Porges gave us a vocabulary for this invisible radar system.
Polyvagal theory is the foundational scientific framework for understanding how we navigate safety and danger. And the cornerstone of this theory is a process Porges termed neuroception.
Neuroception. Let's really dig into this because this is the concept that changes everything.
It is essentially your body's autonomic subconscious surveillance system.
Like a radar.
Exactly. Long before your highly evolved prefrontal cortex has a chance to form a conscious thought like, I enjoy this person's company, or this environment seems slightly hostile.
Your neuroception is already pinging the room.
It's a background processing program constantly asking, is the pitch of this person's voice safe?
Is the pacing of their speech frantic or grounded?
Right. Is the silence between us a safe, companionable silence, or is it a loaded, punitive silence?
And what makes neuroception so powerful is that it operates entirely below the threshold of conscious awareness.
You can't control it with your thoughts.
No. It is a neural process evaluating risk in the environment, and it triggers profound, cascading physiological state changes before you even have the opportunity to have a thought about it.
Polyvagal theory maps this process by looking specifically at the vagus nerve.
A wandering nerve.
Right, the 10th cranial nerve. It's this massive bidirectional information highway running from the brainstem down through the face, the vocal cords, the heart, the lungs, and all the way into the gut.
It's literally connecting everything.
Porges breaks down the physiological states our bodies enter based on what neuroception detects through this vagal pathway.
Okay, let's unpack the anatomy of these states because this is where the biology is absolutely stunning.
There are essentially 3 main physiological states of being. Let's start with the ideal. The ventral vagal state.
Ventral vagal, the holy grail.
Exactly. The ventral vagal state is the biological state of safety and social engagement.
Okay, so what happens in the body here?
When your neuroception successfully detects cues of safety, a warm face, a calm environment, a soothing voice, the ventral branch of the vagus nerve acts like a brake on your heart rate.
It slows things down.
Your body unlocks. This is the anatomical mechanism of the exhale we discussed at the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
Physiologically, the muscles in your face relax, allowing for genuine expression. Your vocal cords are relaxed, which naturally adds prosody and melody to your voice.
You don't sound tight or monotone.
Right. But the most mind-blowing detail to me is what happens inside the ear.
Oh, yes. Talk about the ear.
When you drop into the ventral vagal state of safety, the stapedius muscle in your middle ear literally changes its tension.
It physically changes.
Yes. It tightens to actively dampen background low-frequency noises, and it tunes your hearing specifically to the frequency band of human speech.
That is just wild to me.
If we think about that from an evolutionary standpoint, it is brilliant.
Because when our ancestors were safe in the tribe, they needed to hear the nuanced vocalizations of their peers.
Exactly. But a low-frequency rumble in the distance, that was a predator.
Right.
So our ears evolved to tune out the rumble when we are safe and tune into the human connection.
Which really makes me wonder about modern life.
No, completely.
Because we are surrounded by the constant low-frequency hum of HVAC systems, traffic, airplane engines, and refrigerators.
It's endless.
Is our modern acoustic environment constantly tricking our neuroception into thinking a predator is nearby?
It is a highly plausible theory. The autonomic nervous system does not know what a refrigerator is.
Right, it hasn't evolved that fast.
It only knows low-frequency acoustic rumble, which historically meant danger.
Wow.
But psychologically, when you are in this ventral vagal state, the higher functions of your brain are fully online. Empathy, complex problem-solving, genuine humor, and deep vulnerability become possible.
You have the biological capacity to connect.
Exactly.
So if the vagus nerve is a bidirectional highway, that means when my stomach suddenly drops in a tense meeting, that isn't just a reaction. My gut is literally sending data up to my brain saying, we are not safe.
Yes, the body informs the brain. And that triggers the shift into the second state.
Which is?
If neuroception detects a threat, whether that is an aggressive tone of voice, a dismissive eye roll, or a sudden loud noise, the ventral vagal brake is lifted.
The brake comes off.
You drop out of social engagement and into the sympathetic state.
The classic fight or flight.
Right. The sympathetic nervous system floods your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate accelerates to pump oxygen to your limbs. Your peripheral vision narrows.
You get tunnel vision.
And this is crucial. In this state, genuine social connection is structurally impossible.
I really want people to hear that. You literally cannot connect in this state.
It is biologically offline. Your body is allocating all its resources to survival. You cannot empathize with your partner's perspective when your biology believes it is fighting a tiger.
Even if the tiger is just your partner asking why the dishwasher isn't unloaded.
Exactly. In social dynamics, this sympathetic state manifests as arguing, defensiveness, aggressive criticism, or the urgent need to physically leave the room.
You just have to pace or get out.
Right.
But what if fighting or fleeing isn't a viable option? Like, what if the threat is overwhelming, or you are trapped in a scenario where you cannot fight back, like being a child in an abusive home, or an employee dealing with a hostile boss who controls your livelihood?
Then the nervous system deploys its oldest, most primitive defense mechanism, the dorsal vagal state.
The shutdown?
This is immobilization, collapse. In the wild, this is the animal playing dead.
Possum mode.
Right. Your heart rate actually drops, your pain receptors are numbed, and you disconnect from your body.
But in modern social situations, this rarely looks like literally passing out on the floor.
No, it's more subtle. It typically manifests as appeasing or fawning.
Oh, the fawning response.
You become highly compliant. You nod, you say yes, you try to make yourself as small and invisible as possible so the threat will simply pass over you.
You're just agreeing to whatever they say to end the interaction.
Exactly. You might experience brain fog, dissociation, or a total inability to articulate your thoughts.
You literally lose your words.
You are physically sitting in the chair, but psychologically you have evacuated the premises.
To make this really tangible, I want you to think about your nervous system as a highly sophisticated home security system.
I love this analogy.
If you live in a house that has been broken into several times in the past,
which, in this analogy, represents deep attachment wounds or childhood trauma.
Right, or highly chaotic past relationships. If you have that history, you are naturally going to calibrate the sensors on your security system to be hypersensitive.
Of course you are. You want to catch the intruder early.
Exactly. But the tragedy of that hypervigilance is that now the alarm blares at 120 decibels, even when it's just the wind rattling the window pane.
Or the mail carrier dropping off a package.
Right. And you cannot enjoy a beautiful, intimate dinner party in your own living room if the security alarm is screaming in your ear.
You can't taste the food. You can't hear the jokes.
You were just trying to survive the noise.
This brings us to a profound, paradigm-shifting realization.
Lay on us.
Emotional safety is not a psychological preference. It is not just a nice premium feature you hope to find in a partner. It is a physiological gateway.
Physiological gateway. Explain the physics of that.
Without the biological state of safety, without being anchored in that ventral vagal state, a human being can mimic the actions of connection.
They can go through the motions.
But they cannot actually experience the sensation of it.
Wow.
You can say the words, I love you, you can perform acts of service, you can go on the dates, but you cannot fully metabolize love, support, or intimacy if your body is structurally locked in a state of defense.
It just bounces right off you.
The gateway to the heart and the higher brain is closed by the nervous system.
So we arrive at the great paradox of this whole topic.
The painful paradox.
Right. If our bodies fundamentally require this safety to thrive, and it is biologically mandated for us to truly connect, the obvious question is, why do we systematically self-sabotage?
Why do we do it?
Why do so many incredibly intelligent, self-aware people consistently end up in romantic relationships, friendships, or workplaces that are highly volatile, entirely unpredictable, and deeply dysregulating?
This is perhaps the most painful and misunderstood behavioral mechanic we face.
Let's dig into it. Let's take a pause here, actually, because this next part is heavy.
It is. It comes down to a harsh reality of how our biology learns.
Okay.
A dysregulated nervous system does not automatically seek out what is healthy.
Wait.
It seeks out what is familiar.
Okay, say that again.
A dysregulated nervous system does not seek out what is healthy. It seeks out what is familiar.
So I am biologically rejecting a good partner simply because they don't trigger my trauma.
It is entirely mechanical.
Yeah.
It is not a moral failing or a lack of intelligence.
That is such a relief to hear.
Your nervous system is an adaptation machine. If your early developmental years or your most significant past relationships were defined by chaos, inconsistency, emotional unavailability, or walking on eggshells, your nervous system mapped those specific conditions as home.
Chaos became home.
It learned the precise survival skills needed to navigate that specific brand of chaos.
And got really good at it.
Therefore, when you finally encounter a genuinely calm, consistent, available person, your neuroception does not read them as safe.
Because it doesn't recognize them.
It reads the lack of chaos as an eerie, highly suspicious silence.
Oh, wow. Like, why is it so quiet in here?
Exactly. The internal alarm bells ring, signaling, something is wrong. This is too quiet. The other shoe is about to drop.
I don't know the rules of this environment.
Right. I know how to survive a storm, but I don't know how to survive a sunny day.
This requires us to engage in some really deep self-inquiry.
We have to.
We have to run a diagnostic on our own lives. I want you, the listener, to pause and reflect on these questions very honestly right now.
Ask yourselves.
Are you calling intensity love?
Mm-hmm.
Have you confused the adrenaline spike of fighting and making up with actual intimacy?
That's a big one.
Are you mistaking the anxiety of an unpredictable partner for chemistry or a spark?
Oh, the spark.
Are you labeling your own hypervigilant self-protection as independence?
It is incredibly common, almost a cultural norm, to mistake the cortisol rush of an unpredictable dynamic for passion.
We see it constantly reinforced in movies and books.
The toxic romance is glorified.
And here's the most challenging question of all. Are you actively rejecting a genuinely safe, calm relationship simply because it feels unfamiliar?
Is your body misreading the absence of chaos as boring?
I have watched so many brilliant friends self-sabotage a wonderful, stable dynamic because they claim there is no spark.
He's just too nice.
Right, she's just too boring. But when you look closely, the spark they are missing is just the familiar hum of an active threat response.
Yes.
There's no spark because there is no danger.
This ties deeply into the modern discourse around manifestation.
Oh, let's talk about manifestation because this changes everything about it.
Often, manifestation is sold as a purely cognitive exercise. Like, if you just think positive thoughts, create a vision board, and visualize a healthy relationship, you will attract it.
Just vibe higher.
Right. But biologically, we do not attract what we consciously desire purely through thought.
What do we attract?
We attract, tolerate, and sustain what our nervous system has been calibrated to recognize.
That is huge. We attract what we can recognize.
If your nervous system is trained to navigate chaotic, dismissive, or highly critical environments, it will subconsciously seek out those environments because it possesses the exact toolkit to function there.
It's drawn to the lock that fits its key.
Exactly. Calmness feels foreign, boring, and, ironically, terrifying.
So the hard work of healing isn't just about screening out toxic people and waiting for the right person to arrive.
No, it's so much more active than that.
The real grueling work is learning to tolerate the extreme visceral discomfort of calm.
Until calm finally starts to rewire your baseline.
You literally have to sit on your hands and allow a relationship to be easy.
Even when your brain is screaming at you to pick a fight.
Or find a flaw, or run away just to feel that familiar adrenaline hit of control.
Precisely. We cannot passively wait for a perfectly regulated person to parachute into our lives and fix our nervous systems through osmosis.
It doesn't work that way.
We have to become the frequency of safety first.
We have to become it.
We have to engage in the daily practical labor of rewiring our own neurobiology so we can recognize and sustain safety when it arrives.
Okay, let's transition from theory to practice right now.
I love the practical stuff.
How do we actually rebuild this architecture? Because as fascinating as the neurobiology is, this isn't just a science experiment.
No, it's deeply lived.
The practices we are talking about have deep spiritual and historical roots.
It is profoundly validating to see modern neuroscience finally mapping the precise mechanics of what ancient wisdom traditions have practiced for thousands of years.
It all converges.
Right. Regulating your autonomic nervous system is not just a biohack for personal peace. It has a tangible, measurable effect on the physical space around you.
It changes the room.
It is the physiological foundation of what Quaker traditions call holding space.
Wow.
It is the biological reality beneath the Buddhist practice of metta, or loving-kindness meditation. Indigenous cultures have long emphasized the importance of being in right relationship with your environment.
The core principle remains identical across all of it.
When you do the work to regulate your own physiology, you are actively healing the relational field.
You are emitting cues of safety.
Yes. Cues that allow another person's neuroception to lower its defenses and anchor to yours.
It is the ultimate act of service.
It truly is.
So let's equip you with 4 practical tools to actively become this safe harbor in your daily life.
Get your pens ready.
Tool number 1 is the safety audit.
Okay, walk us through this.
I want you to conceptualize the 5 to 8 relationships that occupy the absolute most real estate in your life.
This includes your romantic partner, your children, your primary coworkers.
And crucially, your digital relationships.
Oh, yes.
The people you text endlessly, the group chats you participate in.
Ones that drain your battery.
Right. For each specific dynamic, I want you to ask your body, not your brain, your body, this question.
Okay.
After I interact with this person, do I feel more like myself or less like myself?
That's a powerful question.
Does my physical body feel expanded and grounded or contracted and tight? Do I walk away feeling energized and clear, or am I inexplicably drained, foggy, and depleted?
And it is vital to emphasize here that this audit is not an exercise in judgment.
Right. We aren't grading them.
You are not assigning moral grades to these people. You are simply collecting raw, honest data from your own physiology.
Just noticing.
If you notice a consistent pattern where you feel physically contracted and drained after a specific interaction, that is your neuroception attempting to communicate with you.
It's waving a red flag.
It is signaling that you are burning a massive amount of metabolic energy to manage the hidden threats in that dynamic.
It highlights a relationship that lacks structural emotional safety.
Tool number 2 shifts the focus entirely inward.
This one is confronting.
Very. It's catching your own escalation cues.
We spend a massive amount of cultural energy asking, where are all the safe people?
Right. Why is everyone so toxic?
But the far more rigorous, confronting question is, how safe am I to be around when I am triggered?
Oh, that one hurts a little.
It really does. But it demands radical self-awareness.
You must learn to track the subtle, early warning somatic markers in your body before your neuroception fully tips you into a sympathetic fight-or-flight cascade.
Before you blow up.
Exactly. What happens in the 30 seconds before you lose your temper? Or before you dissociate and shut down?
For some people, it's a tightening of the jaw or grinding of the teeth.
For others, it's a sudden, heavy pressure in the chest, or a narrowing of the peripheral vision.
Do you feel a frantic, urgent pressure behind your eyes to interrupt the other person and prove them wrong?
I definitely get that one.
Me too. Or conversely, do you feel the sudden, icy urge to punish them by withdrawing all affection and employing the silent treatment?
The mastery is in catching that physiological shift early.
That's the whole game. If I feel my jaw lock and my breathing become shallow, that is the exact moment to intervene.
Right.
That is when I say, I am noticing myself get activated. I need to take a 5-minute walk.
Rather than staying in the room, lashing out, and creating a massive relational rupture that will require days of repair.
You catch the spark before it burns down the house.
Which naturally brings us to tool number 3, the repair ritual.
The most important pillar.
As we established earlier, the capacity for repair is the bedrock of secure attachment. Yet so many of us entirely avoid repairing because we suffer from this misconception that a successful repair requires a flawless, incredibly articulate, perfectly timed apology speech.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
But I want to push back on something here, though, because in a lot of the literature, they offer these very clinical scripts for repair.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
For instance, suggesting you say something like, I don't think we fully landed after that conversation, and I'd like to come back to it.
Right.
I read that, and if my partner said that to me, my neuroception would instantly read it as HR speak.
Am I being fired from the relationship?
Exactly. It
Oh.
sounds like I'm about to be put on a performance improvement plan.
Hmm?
It feels completely unnatural and puts my guard right back up. How do we make repair actually sound human?
That is a brilliant and necessary critique. The exact phrasing isn't the magic element.
What is?
The magic is the bid for return.
The bid for return.
If the clinical phrasing feels alienating, throw it out. You can literally say, hey, that got really weird earlier. Can we try that again?
Or, I really didn't like how we left things this morning. I want a do-over.
Exactly. The mechanism of repair simply requires the demonstrated willingness to return to the connection.
It is the physical act of turning your body back toward the other person.
And acknowledging the friction without blame, however you phrase it. The signal you are sending to their nervous system is profound.
I am not abandoning you. Our connection is strong enough to survive this mess.
And that feels much more attainable. Just ask for the do-over.
So simple, but so hard. Finally, tool number 4, co-regulation through presence.
This is the absolute superpower of human connection.
It really is. It is the ability to be the grounded center in the middle of someone else's storm without attempting to fix them.
This is notoriously the most difficult practice for anyone who identifies as a helper, a fixer, or a problem solver.
Basically, everyone listening to this right now.
Right. When someone you love is highly dysregulated, whether they are spiraling in panic, consumed by anger, or drowning in grief,
Your immediate, well-intentioned instinct is to offer advice.
you want to solve the logistical problem or reassure them that everything is going to be fine.
But throwing logic at a dysregulated nervous system is like speaking a foreign language to a drowning person.
It does not compute. True co-regulation requires you to completely drop your agenda to fix.
You just have to be there.
It means offering physical cues of safety, softening your gaze, slowing and deepening the rhythm of your own breath,
Uncrossing your arms to adopt an open posture.
and definitively putting your phone out of sight.
You essentially become a grounded lightning rod for their chaotic electrical energy. You let their panic hit you, and you just absorb it into the earth without sparking back.
Yes. Think of two pendulum clocks on a wall.
Okay.
Over time, the rhythm of the larger, heavier pendulum will force the smaller pendulum to synchronize with it.
Just through physics.
This is biological entrainment. Sometimes the most profound, life-altering gift you can ever offer another human being is simply a nervous system that is completely unafraid of their massive emotions.
Wow. Unafraid of their emotions.
You don't match their panic, and you don't try to silence it. You simply hold a steady, unshakable baseline of safety that their nervous system can eventually, inevitably synchronize with.
That is such a beautiful image to hold on to.
My favorite visual.
As we bring this deep dive to a close, let's briefly trace the territory we've covered today, because it was a lot.
We covered massive ground.
We started by completely redefining emotional safety. We stripped away the illusion of politeness and recognized that true safety is a relationship's structural capacity to hold difficult truths, conflict, and imperfection without becoming dangerous.
It demands consistency, the rigorous practice of repair, and the grace of acceptance without performance.
Then we examined the evolutionary biology of why this safety feels so frustratingly rare today.
Navigating a hyper-urgent, digitally flattened world that actively strips away the biological cues of co-regulation.
Leaving us stranded in a chronic, low-grade fight-or-flight response.
But by grounding ourselves in the history of Bowlby's attachment theory and the anatomical reality of Porges's polyvagal theory,
We understand that finding safety isn't a luxury. It is the biological prerequisite for human flourishing.
and we faced the uncomfortable truth of our own self-sabotage, the manifestation paradox.
Because our biology seeks the familiar over the healthy.
We often unconsciously choose the cortisol high of dysregulation over the quiet peace of true connection.
Which means we cannot just wander the earth passively searching for a perfectly safe person.
We have to actively undertake the labor of becoming the safe harbor ourselves.
Beautifully said.
If I can leave you with one final provocative concept to mull over something that threads through everything we've dissected today,
Leave us with a final thought.
I want you to consider the agonizing gap between the identity you consciously desire for yourself and the identity your nervous system is unconsciously insisting on maintaining to keep you alive.
Oh, that gap is where all the pain lives.
It is. You might deeply, genuinely desire peaceful intimacy. but your nervous system might still be fiercely defending an outdated identity built on hyper-independence, chronic vigilance, and being the one who never, ever needs help.
Wow.
What if the primary obstacle standing between you and the profound connections you crave isn't a lack of good people in the world, but simply your own body's outdated definition of what constitutes danger?
That is a staggering question to sit with. What if your own body is fighting off the exact love you are begging for?
That's the real work.
To close this out today, I have a very specific call to action for you this week.
Let's hear it.
I want you to pick just one relationship in your life. It doesn't need to be the most fraught or complicated one. It could be a casual friendship or a dynamic with a coworker.
Pick one person.
I want you to deliberately practice one tiny micro moment of repair or co-regulation. Put the phone entirely away.
Put it in a drawer.
Take one deep, audible breath to the bottom of your lungs. Offer them true, unhurried, undefended presence, and simply observe how the physical space between you shifts.
It is truly breathtaking how rapidly an entire relational field can transform when even one person decides to introduce the frequency of genuine safety into the room.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been wonderful.
Remember that complete full-body exhale we talked about at the very beginning of our time together?
You can have it.
But it isn't something you are just going to stumble across by accident in this world. Safety is constructed.
Yeah.
It's built breath by breath, rupture by rupture, choice by choice.
We'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.